You can spend a lot of money on a 2011 style pistol, but what does spending all that money actually do for you? Well, I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna compare the Atlas Athena to the MAC DS9, the Bul Armory Tac, the Staccato P, the Masterpiece Arms DS9, and we're just gonna see what the differences are at those different price points. What this is a deep dive into the law of diminishing returns. Real quickly, before we dive in, I do want to ask you to subscribe to the channel. It greatly helps me out. And if you want to see more content like the Fowler Vanta 9, there's not a lot of videos on these guns, and you're gonna wanna know about this one. Be sure you're subscribed. So a few years ago, I shot the Atlas Athena, and I really liked the gun. Like, I really liked it, and I was like, one of these days, I'm gonna pick up one of those things. It's a pretty awesome gun, and that day is now. I now have one of these guns. I'm very grateful for it. The Athena is supposed to be the perfect 9mm limited optics style gun. Of course, this was conceived back before limited optics was a thing. That basically is USPSA speak for a 2011. And the Athena is intended to be a do-all gun. You can remove the magwell and you could carry it. You could put on a big magwell and you could compete with it. And it's just supposed to do everything because it has a 4.5-inch barrel. So it's going to be kind of the optimum setup, coming in at about 37 ounces or so, unloaded, no magazine. So it's right in a sweet spot where you could carry it if you're into carrying heavy guns, but at the same time, it performs really well. Now, I will say I don't remember this happening at the time, but the magazines do stick. If you try to insert a magazine that's at all twisted, it binds in the grip, because the new Alpha grip that they've got with the grip panels, you can put, like, you've got a step panel on this side and this kind of palm swell on this side. Makes the gun feel amazing in your hands, but you have to take that dimension from somewhere. So the inside of the mag chute is a little bit tighter dimensionally than other aluminum grips. Now, the fit and finish on the gun is properly bonkers. When you pick it up and just kind of mess with all the stuff on the gun, everything is super precise. Even the mag release just feels good. The trigger is completely bonkers. Some of you guys are not gonna like how that trigger is, but I think it's a absolutely brilliant trigger. The fit from slide to frame is basically perfect. When I first got the gun brand new, there was literally zero side-to-side wiggle on the gun. Since getting the gun, I don't know what the round count is on the thing now. I've had it out several times shooting it, probably north of 1,000 rounds, maybe 1,500 or more. But ever since shooting it just a little bit, there's a tiny, tiny bit of wiggle at the back of the slide. The barrel fit is perfect. It's just completely rock solid. And you can see that when you take it to the fancy indoor gun club with your fancy pistol rest and try to group it. It's got the best groups of a pistol that I have shot ever. This is Federal Champion 115 at 25 yards. 10-shot group with my reloads. That's pretty sporty. I guess the Tanfolio Stockmaster Extreme was number 2. You can see that group here. Done a video on that gun as well. But anyway, so I've got this Athena and I'm immediately thinking, like, that's a 4.5-inch gun. That's roughly the same size as the Staccato P, or just a little bit longer than the Bul Armory Tac. So why not shoot them head to head and see what happens? Because this gun costs, I mean, you can almost buy 3 of the Bul Armory guns, and you can buy like 2.5 Staccatos for what this thing costs. Because if the Reddit community is to be believed, you will get better performance from shooting an Atlas. So I started at 25 yards, and I was just gonna see how quickly I could put 10 shots on a 12-inch steel plate. Atlas won. Things are looking good. Maybe there's something to the marketing. Then I shot some other drills. The Atlas didn't win any of the other drills. The results were not what I would have expected based on how it performed on that first one. But it's not that the Atlas was kind of outshot on those drills. Then the very next day, I filmed those drills on a Sunday. The very next day was a Monday, and I went to my son's scouting camp where they're working on a handgun badge. I brought a few 2011s for the more advanced kids to shoot, to teach them how to shoot pistols, you know, properly and introduce them to kind of sport shooting. The demo gun I brought with me was the Athena, and I had the Kimber 2K11 stainless and the Voodoo Gunworks Priest. We're on a public range in a state park, and somebody had set Coke cans out at like 55, 60 yards from where we were standing. With 5 attempts, I was able to hit a Coke can at 50 yards with the pistol, which is awesome. But then at the end of the class, at the end of the day, I was doing pistol demos on a drill. It was basically a 10-yard target, shoot it 5 times, then transition onto a 5-yard target, shoot it 5 times. I had done the demo with the Athena, then I picked up one of the kids was using the stainless target from Kimber. I did the same thing. My group was smaller with the Kimber on both targets than it was with the Athena. In no way at all am I suggesting that the Athena isn't an amazing gun and it's so poor that it got outshot by the other guns. No, I suspect, given the day going kind of heads up with different guns, if I got more used to how this gun moves, I could return it better and have better results, because it's kind of this weird like middle length. It's not a commander, which I shoot a little bit, and a 5-inch gun, which I shoot a lot. I don't know how to return the gun properly, so I'm not getting the most out of the gun. That I pretty much can guarantee. But I am a master competitive shooter in USPSA, and I shoot guns a lot, and if I can't get at the performance from the super nice gun, it's almost like it's not an advantage, because if I can't get at it shooting more than your average bear, then does the advantage really exist? Because an advantage is only an advantage if you can exploit it. So what it suggests to me is that there is a steep fall off in value that you get when you spend more than about $2,500 on the 2011 pistol. That's kind of the sweet spot of, like, you spend up to that point, you get the features you want, and beyond that point, you're just getting more expense. And to kind of walk through kind of that value proposition from kind of like low end to high end guns, I've got the MAC DS9, or the Staccato, if you will. The MAC DS9 sells for right at about $1,000. It comes with an optic plate, it's got backup sights, it's got a QPQ slide finish, quench, polish, quench, according to their website. The springing is kind of oversprung by a lot. I've got, another commander here with a Bul Armory, much gentler springing on the Bul Armory than what they kind of threw out here. So you're getting a pistol that, like, if you take a Xerox copy of like a Staccato, it's not as high quality as the original, but it does a lot of the same stuff. It has pretty much all the same features, an aluminum magwell. On paper, this gun is amazing, but the execution is nowhere near as good as the original. And that comes in several different ways. The first is, like, the grip is super duper slick. Like, it is like woefully inadequate. You can pretty much bank on either replacing the grip, soldering iron to the grip, whatever, to get the gun to have any sort of traction on the grip whatsoever. The trigger is a very kind of long profile, and it's just okay. It's not amazing. If you actually kind of mess with the slide, you can hear it. So the slide to frame fit is rough. It has a pretty significant hang up on the disc connector. It's difficult to show you because the spring is so strong. It's just not as good a gun as the others by a wide piece. Now, it's the bones of a good gun. You can turn this into a good gun, but you will be putting your own sweat into the gun to make it be on the same level as other guns. Jumping up into kind of the middle tier of pricing, I just have 2 of them. There's other ones as well, and I've done videos on them. GP Arms makes a gun for about that much. The Patriot, it's a great gun. And the Kimber 2K11s are great guns as well. So you can watch videos on those for more. But I mean, jumping up to kind of the OG, which is the Staccato P. This has their old Gen 2 style grip. I think they're putting Gen 3 grips on everything they send now, which is super slick, which is why it's got a grip decal on it to kind of help keep it, providing some traction. Now, the Staccato P is a duty style gun. It's actually reasonably tight. It's not as tight as the Staccato XC, which is considered a competition gun, so they fit it tighter, but it is notably tighter than the Staccato. It's got much better slide serrations. It's got more appropriate springing. It comes with a toolless guide rod. All of the internals are machined and they are DLC coated. And DLC coating is the pinnacle of weapons finishes. It's the very best. It's a little bit lighter weight. If you notice that, like, the slide thickness on this side, you can kind of see from the underneath that the slide is thicker than it. All of the other guns, like the Athena, the slide is the same thickness as the frame. So there's more weight by design on the, Gucci gun than there is on the duty gun, which is trying to be as light as possible despite being a steel gun. The only thing that I would give kind of the Staccato a black eye for is the trigger shoe. It's a polymer trigger shoe with just this kind of traction on it. The trigger is, reasonably good. The gun is very accurate. It's just a really nice kind of getting into a 2011 because the Staccato warranty is the best in the business. You Tell them you have an issue and they will absolutely take care of you. So if you're skittish about beginning to wrench on your own 2011s, that's a good place to start. And similarly, around this is actually an old version, but the Bul Armory Tac. The Bul Armory Tac sells for about the same money as a Staccato. This is an old one. The new ones that will have like a full-length dust cover with different slide cuts, a different optic mounting plate. And this is one of the old ones that I bought for like $18.50. It's got some metal injection molded safeties and slide stop. The new guns have gotten away from those two things, but it's got a PVD finish and it's, you know, a decent weapons finish, not as good as a DLC. The trigger on the Bul Armory gun is excellent. Not quite as good as the Atlas, but it's about as close as you're going to get in this price point. The accuracy out of the Bul guns is excellent. They've got one of the better grip modules for a polymer gun that you can get, and it doesn't actually take 2011 mags, it takes para style mags. It doesn't have a toolless guide rod, it's just got a standard full-length guide rod that you'll need a paper clip to take down. But it is a very nice gun. This is one of my oldest, this is actually my oldest non-compensated 2011 pistol. Now, you can move up from there to the Masterpiece Arms guns. This is a DS9 IDPA compliant gun, but it's got a USPSA magwell on it. And these guns are, I mean, I guess a click nicer. They're roughly in the same sort of ballpark as the Bul Armory. It's just they come with like different features. The triggers on the MPA guns are even a little bit nicer than the Bul triggers, just a little. Like, we're really to the point where academically something can be true, but you can't exploit it. That's where we're at. It's got all machined internals. It actually has a nitride finish on the slide and frame, so it's not quite as nice as the DLC, but it's still a very good weapons finish. Their grip modules, this is their A3 super aggressive one, and it was super spiky when I first got it. My hands have gotten used to it now. But really what you're getting when you get up to this level is kind of like a purpose-built thing. So like now this isn't set up for duty or whatever. It's set up for competition, and so all of the specs are kind of optimized for a competition gun. But even still, the fit, while it is excellent on the DS9, like there's just a tiny little bit of hitch on that disc connector. There's slightly more wiggle on the gun than there is on the Athena, but the round count is much higher. Then coming up to the Athena, like it's super buttery smooth going back and forth. Like there's only slightly binding based around the coils on the spring when you move it slowly, kind of catching on the guide rod. That's all there is. The build quality is nicer than the Masterpiece Arms, but as we discussed, you can't really do anything with that. It's like a, you know, a Rolex watch versus just like a Casio watch. They both tell time, but one of them makes a statement, whereas the other one kind of doesn't. I was actually working on a video for another gun, and I was like, well, how accurate are these things? So I took the Priest and I took the Masterpiece Arms gun, and I shot groups with it relative to the Fowler Industry. That's not a Fowler. That's the Fowler. So I took the Fowler with the Masterpiece and the Voodoo Gunworks gun to the range to see how they would group, shooting with just Federal Syntec 135 grain PCC ammo that I'm trying to get rid of. It shot roughly comparable groups. When I switched over to my jacketed hollow points that I use in competition, the groups didn't necessarily improve for the Voodoo or the MPA, but got notably tighter for the Vanta, getting pretty much as close to where the Atlas was, which was also shooting hollow points. But that difference only shows up with Gucci ammo, which most people aren't going to shoot Gucci ammo. So I say all of that to say not to crap on the Atlas, because that's not the goal. I really like the Atlas gun. I really wanted an Atlas gun, and this is my first Atlas gun. It's a very, very nice gun, but it gets very difficult to justify the spend moving from about that $2,000 price point up to what an Atlas costs, and they continually go up. If you want to absolutely bathe in luxury and humiliate your friend's pride and joy in the safe area, the Atlas is very difficult to make an argument with because it's insanely nice. Like, there are very few brands that can make Atlas blush, and without a doubt, it's the nicest off-the-rack 2011 you can buy, but you pay dearly for it. So the Atlas is, I mean, a beautiful, absolutely work of art gun. However, there's this other video I made about why 2011s are terrible. If you haven't seen that, you'll want to check that out.